Greetings and salutations everyone, I'm Ekamac, this is Limbus Company. Still trying to get used to that. In the last episode, we tackled a bunch of cyborgs in the thread Luxcavation. In this episode, we tackle the same bunch of cyborgs but under influence of a different boss. Enchanting pink shoes. This is... if there's one abnormality that gets me actively frustrated, it's this one. Let's get into why with our Pride team. So the thing is, it's actually a lot easier than most abnormalities to fine-tune your team for resistance. In theory, it only deals lust attacks, and all of them are blunt damage. Here's the problem. It's very difficult to build a team that uses Pride and resists blunt and lust. Starting off here, we have Enforced again. Does have a Pride skill. It's a skill 3, but it is a Pride skill. And resists blunt. Here's the problem. Forced's natural ego gives her a fatal weakness to lust skills, which means that the two cancel out, but it actually goes a bit worse than that. When a character is staggered, then all of their physical resistances become fatal. So if Forced is staggered by an attack here, then she goes from having neutral resistance to everything to having 4 times weakness to everything. It is very dangerous, and bosses here are actually capable of doing that. Step 2, we have Rose Spannerodian again. She has basic Pride skills. She isn't weak to lust, but she also isn't resistant to blunt. As before, it is actually possible to use the Kurokumo Clan Wakashu Rodian, but because everyone is using blunt attacks, she's going to be taking a lot of punishment in return. There's 2 things to take into account here. First of all, her counter skill. On use, gain protection. Keep in mind that because it's on use, she only gets the protection after she's been hit, not before. This isn't negating any damage she takes on her first hit, just any further damage she might be taking. But, Sky Clearing Cut. This can beat anything. The downside is that she needs to have good SP to guarantee that plus 18 roll. That said, it does have a use in beating the skill check. We'll get into that later. I wouldn't recommend the Dicey Association as much, even though she's ineffective and takes very little damage. She also doesn't have any Pride skills, so she's not going to be doing much damage. She's a tank after all. Level 3, we have Yisang Blade Lineage Sosu. Now, important thing. This identity is garbage until you get him to tier 4. Then he's actually fantastic. For a start, he isn't blunt weak. He isn't lust weak. Those are 2 very nice things to have. He's capable of turning any of his skill coins into a Pride attack, which is nice. Counters are actually rather decent. More importantly, though, is that his clashing actually gets really good, and that's because of his passive here. On Clash Win, gain poise count. Coin power +1 for every 5 poise count. If he gets his heel turn a success, then he can actually rack up tons of poise. Step 4. There's a slight problem with Ryoshu, and that's that she has... actually, let's go into Edit Team so I can show it. So, I found out recently that I can click this, and then click here, and this will show all of her identities that have Pride. Most of them have Pride. Here's the problem. most of them are weak to blunt. This is the only ID that has pride skills and isn't weak to blunt. So Kurokomo clan Wakashi. She has Lenticular Swirl, which is decent power. She has Cleanup, which is her pride skill. Be careful with Paralyze though, because the boss flips negative coins, and you don't want to give him free negative coins. It's what makes Enforced here a bit of a risk. And finally, we have Mole Boatworks Ishmael. Like we've seen elsewhere, she has some decent, like elsewhere, she has a skill 1 for Pride skill. It also inflicts Tremor Count on herself. Explosive Blast gives her Tremor Count, but also inflicts it. And Risky Judgment is actually a fantastic clashing skill. A very unique thing about Mole Boatworks Ishmael is her defensive skill starts at 10, rather than starting at 4, so she has a decent chance of evading attacks unless they're very specifically strong. They start out strong. So negative coin skills. Also worth noting, Natural Lust Fatality, so she's going to hurt if she takes a hit. But it's kind of hard to... It's hard to find better Pride characters than that. So, alternate options. If you don't care about the blunt weakness, you can actually get a pretty decent rack of Pride damage with Energy Current. Also, if you uptie him to tier 4, then it can actually roll decently, as opposed to deal decent damage. Chain of Others. I don't know how likely it is to get the resources for it here, but that is nice. Blade Lineage Solsu is sort of like Kurokomo Rodian, but it's a Wrath counter instead of Pride counter. More interestingly is that it also has the very strong to claim their bones, but he isn't weak to blunt, he isn't weak to lust. So those are nice details. Don Quixote has the same problem that Donnie has the same problem that Ryoshu has. She has a natural resistance to lust, but she doesn't have good identities with pride that resist blunt. The only thing that she has is Sync Association Self-Director 5. And it's her tier 3 skill. If you uptie her, then she does get her Pride Evade skill, which is nice. And I will give this. For 3 Pride Resonance, if speed of all allies is higher than speed of all enemies, this unit deals damage based on the speed difference between it and the slowest enemy. These guys actually slow themselves down a lot. You can get some pretty good mileage out of that. And finally, if you need someone tanky, if you're just having too much trouble with people being fragile, K-Corp Long Lu is here. He has a basic Pride skill, but he also has a good chance of using Dimension Shredder. This is pretty powerful. Like, that's a 22 plus 6. That is not small potatoes. But anyway, that's enough of the warm-up. Let's show what this fight is actually like. Actually, now that I think about it, W-Core Mersault would be in really bad straits because not only is he blunt weak, but he's also lust weak. Anyway, we have 3 These are the same guys from last time, but they're under control of red shoes rather than straight off the factory line. The pink shoes Enchanting, the pink shoes Possessy, and Clippity Clop Tap Away. He gains protection and surgery, so he's really fast and he takes the less damage. And deals a lot of damage. But keep in mind, all of them have wavering desires. While Desirous, the unit gains 2 fragile, 10 bind, gains a skill slot and changes behavior. It becomes Desirous every time it loses 30% of HP. Just by keeping yourself safe from this guy, it's quite easy for you to knock off that 30% health and put yourself in a bad situation. Fortunately, he's using his weak attack here, thoroughly amusing. Repressed gesture. Use your weak skills on these attacks so you've got better odds of surviving when they get aggressive. Yeah, just look at that clash level. And we've gotten this one staggered. It's Desirous, so it would be screwing us over, were it not for the fact that we've also staggered it, so he's going to be easy to finish off. The problem is that now, Clippity Clop is preparing an attack combo on Forced, and we can't evade it. So, or rather we can't negate it. Forced has a 12, so it's unlikely we're going to really be able to... Okay, I'm going to use an evade die on the left attack. We've got a good chance of that... She's probably going to take a bit of punishment, but if we can negate at least one of these hits, then we'll be in a good position. Something that I found out by researching for this fight, or rather optimizing it, Rosy Dance is the only attack that they use while Desirous. It's not equal. The Pink Shoes Possessy has a 3 plus 12, that's 15, that really hurts. But his Rosy Dance is 3 plus 2 plus 2, so that's 7. A much easier number to get around, so... yeah. If someone has to be left unstaggered and Desirous, try to make it this one. Also worth noting is that each turn that goes by, just like before, this guy will get an extra skill slot. So by the end of the fight, he's actually going... if you trigger his Desirous, then he's actually able to really screw you over with 4 skill slots of very powerful attacks. Strips of pink ribbons float this way. This is the skill check, but usually it goes in a much less pleasant way for me. So everyone just dogpile on this guy. You can't quite beat this attack there is a chance of it going wrong. How much damage is that? That's a 28. You can handle a 28 right now. On the downside, we can't actually intercept, so heel turn is being wasted here. Oh, that's not good. Usually this fight goes a lot worse for me. The reason that I said, oh no, that's really not good, is because I inflicted Paralyze next turn, and you really don't want to put Paralyze on the big robot. That was a very clean knockout for that fight, so let's go again because the thing is, none of these Luxcavations are ones that I have a good chance of losing, but this fight is the one that has the most chances of having a bad time with numbers, so let's try this again. 13 minus 10, I hate it. Yeah, these are the numbers that really mess up my day.
죄를 새겨주겠어.
So, you're Desirous, but you actually have decently easy to outroll attacks. You are not Desirous, and you really want Ishmael dead. I don't want that. Yeah, we're already up to 5 skill slots. If someone becomes Desirous and we don't stagger this guy, then we are going to actually have some problems. Hey, we actually got absolute resonance. Okay, forced. Absolutely demolish that guy. The 72 to 120 probably means that we'll pull it off. So that's gaze, nails, pride weakness, blunt weakness. I really want to show that it is actually possible for this fight to go poorly, it's just not happening.
거치적거리지만 마. 제대로 찝었군. 꽤 잘 갈려.
Alright, let's give it one more shot because it might just be that me studying this fight told me the trick to avoiding aggravating the robot, but also it does come down to the coin flips.
이 정도면 너무 성공적인데? 추가 보스 나오는 거 아니야?
I saw Do I want to try using a different team just to show off how this can actually go? Use a different team that isn't all sitting on 34 or 35. Okay, let's get experimental here.
언제든지요.
점수 준비 끝.
So both of them are using Constricting Desires turn 1. That's a little difficult to beat. That's really hard to beat. Oh, I actually don't want to let him get that attack off, because if he does, then he gets haste, and then it becomes really hard to redirect his attacks. The upside about Explosive Blast is that it does gain coin power if you have 5 Tremor Count on yourself. Following her skill 1, skill 2 is guaranteed to get that coin power boost. We need more we need more pride resources to get the coin power boost.
오작 터뜨려주지.
혈이 남자오.
Okay, now we have problems. We cannot redirect either of these attacks. But both of them are aimed at Hong Lu, so... Sorry about this. You're gonna have to do some tanking.
가자.
Oof! Man, how'd you lose to that? I just talked about how that's the easy one to beat.
남자오.
Her voice travels between the fluttering ribbons. What is your desire? Put me on. I'll carry you wherever you wish to go. The suggestions are incredibly suspicious, but for some reason the sinners are struggling to decide what to do. What do you say? So, if you choose put on the shoes, then you get a negative effect. If you choose refuse, but then fail the skill check, you get a worse negative effect. So let's go for refuse. The knot of desires must be undone. So anyone with good pride or good gloom skills has a pretty decent chance of beating this. They have to meet a 7. If they don't have good pride or gloom skills, they have to beat a 9. And for some reason the game thinks that Rodion has better chance with her envy skill than her pride. This is basic, probability calculations. Don Quixote flips 2 coins and needs a single heads to win. You flip 3 coins and need a single heads to win. You flip 3 coins, need a single heads to win. And you flip 2 coins and need a single heads to win. So ironically, our best chance is with Rodion. My head is pounding. It was just getting good. The ribbons binding the team scattered and melted away. Freedom! Freeness! An unfamiliar voice reaches your ears, but for now you should help the sinners recover first. For remaining turns, all enemies gain 3 attack power down and 5 fragile. Enemies will no longer become desirous.
이런 건 누워서 떡 먹기지.
The thing is, he is moving at 10! It is not going to be fun. I mean, I say that, but these numbers are actually getting absolutely flawed. Anyway, because we failed one of the clashes with a desirous enemy, let's show the Urge. At 5 count, take 30 SP damage, gain 2 fragile, 10 bind, and remove this effect. You do not want to get stacks of Urge because it's already hard enough to get your sanity up high.
모든 걸 거둬들일 순 없었어.
That fragile and that pride weakness really did not do him any favors. Alright, I need to show this.
너무 성공적인데?
One more round, but we're going to play badly, so
검은 갈아뒀다.
get Ryoshu back in here.
이 검이 필요하오.
Okay, I'm going to show what happens when you make the big guy Desirous, because he's the one you have to be really careful about. So then, Twinkle, twinkle, spinny, spinny. 13 minus 5, but it gains 2 skill power. Twinkle, twinkle, spinny. Oh, this is a complete nightmare. Because it is a negative coin skill, so let's do some number crunching. It rolls 5 to 15. Here's the problem. Every time we beat one of his coins, his skill gets stronger. Or rather, it's the way that negative coin skills work. Okay, let's start from this top. Whenever you clash with someone, You keep both sides flip coins on their skill. Then that determines the clash power. The one with the worst clash power loses a coin. When one skill loses all of its coins, the other skill becomes an attack and flips its coins to determine the power of each strike. Because it's a negative coin, the more times we destroy coins on it, the stronger the attack gets. So, let's see how much damage this does.
를 새겨주겠어.
걸려라. 검을 덜 갈았었나?
The thing is, we got lucky there, because if you push him too early, you might not have any skills that can actually win those clashes. And he can just decide, nope, I'm gonna roll tails on this skill. Now consider this. If he wins, and then continues to roll tails... Hang on, I'm just lining up my attacks like so. If he wins and then continues to roll tails, that means he gets 2 15 power hits in a row. Why is that bad? Well, suppose one of those attacks staggers the target. Such as Enforced.
오자 터뜨려주지.
다시 복구하긴 힘들걸요?
끝이.
흉터의 결과요.
파쇄 완료.
The thing is, this is one when you get to that final stretch where the big guy is Desirous and on the rampage, it gets really frustrating if he's also got high enough speed to throw all his attacks onto one unit, and they just don't have any chance of beating it. I don't know. That's probably the cleanest that I've ever had against Enchanting Pink Shoes. The remaining abnormalities aren't nearly as horrendous to face, so yeah. Until next time guys, take care. I'll see you all around. Actually, the reason why I usually use Enforced isn't just because of the Pride skill, it's also because she does have representation emitter. 19 cannot lose to anything in that fight. And because it's an AoE, it does have a good chance of messing up the other enemies. It's just really hard to win. The thing that makes that fight rather annoying is that the only thing she can use when he uses Twinkle Twinkle Spinny, or Twinkle Spinny Spinny, the gripping is the only thing that she has that can reliably beat it. She has to beat it twice by flipping only heads. And if she flips only heads on the on the earlier attack, then he has a paralyze, which makes it much easier for him to pull out full power on that attack. It's just really hard to work with. But yeah, until next time guys, take care, I'll see you all around.
쉬엄쉬엄해. 커피도 좀 타서 마시고. 아침부터 너무 힘 빼지 말자고.